do know that you can add on to it and develop. And so while you're doing these questions, especially while we're talking about the explanations, I want you to be looking for your zone of proximal development of, I didn't know how to do this problem, and so that's why I asked about it, but now that you explained it, that seems really easy. And those are the ones that I want to go back to and talk about at the end, because those are the ones that if you can get it into what you know and what you understand, that's the easy win. And so don't try and learn everything when you're studying for the ACT. That's overwhelming. You're just trying to go for, this is what I know, this is what I can add to that. It's not that bad. And so that's what we are working on today. We're going to be doing our 5-minute interval training so that you can again get the feel for this is how long questions take, and then we will go from there. So because we skipped ahead last time, we're going to go ahead and go back to test 10, but we're going to start with questions 1 through 10, and then we will jump ahead back to 47, which is where we left off approximately. So for the first 5 minutes, we'll do 1 through 5. Next 5 minutes, we'll do 6 through 10, and then we'll jump ahead to question 47. Great. We do have a lovely timer. We're just trying to figure out how to make it both visible to you guys and the online crew. So, right now, how many of you can see this, or is it just completely blockaded? Yeah, not helping a whole lot.
I can see it a little bit.
Yeah, we're working on that. We might end up getting 2 of them. I wish we could just set a timer on Zoom, but no go there. So, we will, has everyone turned to the right page? I suppose that's the first question. Have you refound test 10? It's at the back of your 10 test book.
I think we already did it.
We didn't start at question 1 though.
I think we did.
Did we?
I think like 2 weeks ago we did it.
Oh, okay, so you have done it, you just hadn't done it with me. In that case, yeah, let's go ahead and go back to 47 then. I didn't realize you had done that without me. That is good to know. And that says test. All right. In that case, we're going to have more time for this after stuff, and that is good news. All right. We will do 47, 48, 49, 50, and 51 then. All right. Go ahead and begin. Alright, let's go ahead and stop. I don't have a buzzer and I'm still trying to figure that out, but let's go forward. So, going at this a little bit differently, looking at 47, 48, 49, 50, and 51, before we get to the answers, are there any that you're like, yeah, I really wish I knew what was going on with that one? And so recognizing that feeling. Okay. In that case, again, I am using an old edition, so most of these should be correct, but just in case they are different, we will look at that. So, 47 would be B. 48 was H. 49 is D. 50 is J. And 51 is D. So taking that down, so we have a better view of board. Which one?
49.
49? Alright, again, it's possible that I have different ones. So this
I
one's,
think, yeah, because ours is like
yeah.
the worst problem.
Okay, so yeah, mine is different in that one. What did you have?
If an assets of a company A's stocks drop by 4.03 billion to 74.02 billion, what is the percent decrease in the stock's assets?
Okay. So it went from 74.02 is the original.
That's the final value, and then
So it went to 74.02
and then
and the original was,
it doesn't give.
we don't know, but it had dropped by the 4.03. So, in order to do a percent change, what two numbers do you need?
The whole part that you
Yeah, so you need the change, but you're always going to be comparing it back to the original. So we're going to take that 74.02 and we have to add that 4.03 back into it in order to get the original. And so that's going to be 78.05 for the original. And again, our change, they told us it was the 4.03. And they're just asking for the percent change. They don't ask about, they tell you straight out that it's a decrease. So we know that it's going down, but we don't have to worry about a negative or anything like that. We're just looking for the percentage now. So that is a calculator problem. What do you guys get?
I got C.
C?
Yeah, I got C's 5.
So 5. Does it go exactly or does it round?
It rounds.
Okay. So I agree to the 5%, and that was 50. So we will change that.
No, that's 49.
Oh,
Sorry.
that was 49. Now I lost what 50 was. What was 50?
J.
J? Okay. So that one is good. Again, Since I'm working with an older edition, good to double check those. All right, so other than that one, do any others bring questions for you?
How do I do 50?
50? All right, just double checking. Mine has a whole bunch of A and B's and it's kind of a fraction looking thing. Okay, so the basic premise of this is back in elementary fractions, but it's got so much going on that it's crossing into Algebra 2 territory. Algebra 2 is when you'll start getting really comfortable with these. So we have A plus B, and it's divided by B times A plus B, and it's minus 2A, again, times A plus B. And the question is, what is it equal to? So switching colors for a second, I have A plus B right here, I have A plus B right here, and I have A plus B right here. What's going on is, imagine I had 5 and it was over 4 times 5 minus 2 times 5. We could cancel the 5 out of all of those pieces. It cancels here, it cancels here, it cancels here, and we end up with 1 times 4 minus 2, 1 over 2. Same thing's going on here. This A plus B, because it's the same on every piece, we just cancel it out. And this, when it cancels completely, there's 1 left. And so we have 1 over B's left over minus 2A. So as long as they're stuck together with multiplication, you can use cancellation. And it doesn't matter if it's a big thing in parentheses, as long as it's the same thing on everything, we can still cancel it down. Okay. On 51, were you using Pythagorean theorem or special right triangles, or you just didn't know? Which way did you go on those?
I use Pythagorean theorem.
You use Pythagorean theorem? That's great. Either way works. So both 48 and 51 are both using what's called special right triangles. And the idea is, if you have a right triangle where the sides are both the same, or essentially half of a square, it always is going to follow this pattern where whatever this side is and whatever this side is, they're the same. And so you end up with x squared plus x squared, and you end up with, well, this makes 2 x squareds. When you go to take the square root of x squared is just plain x. Square root of 2 stays the square root of 2. And so this side ends up being whatever the side was times the square root of 2. If this is 8 and this is 8, this is 8 square roots of 2. If this is 5 and this is 5, this is 5 square roots of 2. And so that special right triangle can be a little bit of a shortcut, but that is what happens on all of them. That's approximately where most geometry classes are right now. So if you're doing geometry, you've either seen this very recently or it's coming up really soon. All right. Any other questions? All right, let's reset. I'm going to try setting this there. I think it'll be better for you. Yeah, and it is showing up on the video, so that'll work. All right, we will start again. We will be going 52, 53, 54, 55, 56. You may begin. All right, and stop. So 52 would be K, 53 would be A, 54 would be H, 55 would be C, 56 would be G. Starting with 52. Not the hardest I've done, but this is one that makes me pause and think, and I'm not quite certain. So I'm gonna go over that one, because I'm assuming somebody out there had the same feeling and might be feeling shy about it. So I gave myself a quick sketch. Does not have to be beautiful, but the idea is that we have a point 3, 4. So here is the point 3, 4. We want it to be passing through the point t negative 2. We don't know what the x value is. That's the t we're looking for, but it's going to be somewhere along this negative 2. And so, if it is at positive 3, 4, how far down do we have to get to negative 2? To go from positive 4 to negative 2, what is our vertical change going to be?
3 sets of 2.
3 sets of 2? Okay, I like the thinking. So you say 3 sets of 2 or 6. But you are correct, 3 sets of 2. So, you're already getting there. If we need to go down 3 sets, how many times do we have to go sideways?
3.
Also 3 sets. And so if our slope is down 2 over 3, we're going down 2 over 1, 2, 3. We're here at our y-axis. We're going down 2 again. We're going over 3. Where are we at?
-6.
We're at -3 right now. You're correct that -6 is our final answer. We go down 2 more. Yep. And we go over 3 more. And we are at -6, -2. Couple different ways you could do that. You could say, okay, 3 times 3 is 9, subtract 9 from 3, and I get to -6. That is if you're more algebra interested. If you're visual, this is the way I would do it. I wouldn't go to the trouble of trying to write an equation. That would take more time than it's worth. All right. So, 53. How did you solve this? What do you do?
I found that you could multiply like 30, I think it's 30, or 8 times 1.75.
Okay, so you turned it into a scalar with the 1.75 and then you multiplied.
Yeah.
The important word to know on this is proportional. Whether you're finding the scalar or you just set up a cross multiply proportion, the idea is we have 56 feet high to 32 feet wide. So this was high and wide, and this proportion is talking about the actual boat. We need this to be equal to the proportion on the model. So what is our third number that we know? We know 8. Is 8 going to go with the height or the wide base? The base. And so as long as you get that in that position, again, you could take the 56 divided by 32 and get it as a single number. You can do lots of things, but the important thing is you're going to end up with 56 times 8 and then divide by 32. You can divide 56 by 32 and then times 8, same number, but that is the relationship you're looking for. As long as you're matching up the right pieces, in these fractions there always has to be something in common. And that's the easiest way to not screw up a proportion. All right. 54, solving inequality. This one goes back a little bit easier. As we get closer and closer to the end of the test, in general, the questions get harder. But for me, 53 is like, oh, solving. I can do solving. And it kind of gives you that mental breathing moment. You solve it just like an equation, you leave the inequality. As long as you move the x over to the right, you don't even have to deal with the divide by negative flaw of solving inequalities, but in general, after I said it was easy, I'm afraid I scared people off. Did anybody have questions on that one? Okay. 55. Pythagorean theorem twice. That's what's going on there. The first piece, AD, what is AD going to be?
55. For 55?
For 55.
I think it's different on ours.
Oh, well, in that case, we better find out what yours was and check our answer. My book is so Pythagorean theorem heavy. So, we'll talk about that one in a second. What do you have for 55? Oh, quadrant. The graph of a line with the equation 5x plus 3y equals 15. And what quadrants of the standard x does not have points in what quadrants of the standard xy coordinate plane below? So, this one's more of a theoretical question. How many quadrants is it possible to not cross through? 2. What would happen in order for it to be 2?
Cross through the middle.
It'd have to go exactly through the origin. That's the only way for it to be 2, because otherwise, anywhere above or below that, it's going to go through 3. And even if the slope is going the other way, above or below that, it's going to be crossing through 3. Because it's a straight line, that is our only option. What did I do with the eraser now? I fell on the floor. So, now we're interested in what? How do we graph this? Couple different ways. I'm going to have you dust off something from the back of your brain, algebra-wise. Cover-up method. We have 3, and we have 5, and we have 15. Those are really pretty easy numbers. If we say, well, what if y was 0? Then 5x equals 15, x equals 3. What if x is 0? 3y equals 15, divide by 3, y equals 5. We have the point 3, 0, 0, 5. It's going in this quadrant, it's going in this quadrant, it's going in this quadrant. This is the only one it doesn't. Final question. How do you number the quadrants? Counterclockwise. It's easy to remember that this one is 1 because it's the one that we learned first before we even talk about negative numbers. We talk about graphing and the positives. But then it goes counterclockwise to 2, 3, and 4. So, 2 things to know is how to graph that line and also what are those quadrants named, but I believe in your picture they're numbered anyway, so that's the good news. All right. about the Pythagorean theorem one, just because I wanted to. So we have overlapping triangles that look like this. We have A, B, C, and D, and we are given the three numbers of 4, 5, and 2 square roots of 13.
Wait, is this for 56 or?
No, this is the 55 that I have in my book. And so I just wanted to talk about it. It's not one that you had on your test.
Okay.
So now this goes back to my question before we figured out it was a different test, and I'm going to have to get an updated book. The question was, what is AD? Three. It's that Pythagorean triple again. It really does show up. And so if this is, our hypotenuse is 5, we have 4. This is 3 by default. And the question is, what is the length of DC? And so we need to find our large triangle. In fact, if you wanted to scribble it out, that 5 doesn't mean anything anymore. It existed just to help us get that 3. But the same question is 2 square roots of 13. Are you comfortable with how to square this in order to Pythagorean theorem solve? You can put it in your calculator, but the idea is if I have 2 square roots of 13, times 2 square roots of 13, the square root of 13 and the square root of 13, square root of 13 squared. Anything times itself is squared, those 2 square roots cancel and it becomes just 13. And then we have times 2 and times 2. Don't know what that one means. So 13 times 2 is 26. 26 times 2 is 52. Okay. So we have 52 here. What's 4 squared? Go easier. 16. So what is 52 minus 16? 36. Which makes this whole side, squared is 36, that whole side by itself is just plain 6, which leaves this piece to be 3. All right. $56. We are dealing with not an answer, and so you can't just test answers, but rather just what interval is our answer in. You could still just test answers. You could say, okay, -6 to 11, I'd pick 0. Throw 0 in there, does it work? You can also solve this. I'm not sure which one would be faster. So 56, you can either solve it by testing answers or by doing the straight solving. Both of those are okay. 57. Even if you're in geometry, this is one that you haven't gotten to yet. The circles tend to be at the very end of the section. So does anyone know how to tackle this?
I mean, I'm not exactly sure, but if it's 120 degrees, then you divide it by 260. That's 130.
Okay, yeah. If it's 120 degrees, 120 degrees, 120 degrees, 120 degrees, that is 360. And so this reduces down to, we just have 1/3 of the circle. And whether you've done circles or not in geometry, area of a circle should be kind of old school. So 2 formulas go with circles. 2 pi r which is equal to diameter times pi. Both of these are the circumference. One starts from the radius, one starts from diameter, but both of these tell you how far around a circle is. If we take pi times the radius squared, this is equal to the area, which is how much stuff is inside. A lot of people can memorize these formulas, but then they start going, which one? Which one do I need? I know it's one of them, I know it's got the pi in it, but their brain freezes up about which formula to use. So, easy way to remember, area is measured in squares. If you need the area one, you need the one that has squared in the formula. And so we need to use this pi r squared. So what is the area of that whole circle?
81 pi.
Because the radius is 9, and so if we put that in, we have 9 squared is 81. And notice, all the answers are in pi. They don't expect you to run it through the calculator. You just know the radius is 81, or the radius is 9, so 9 squared is 81. We have 81 pi is the area of the circle. Is 81 pi our answer? No, because again, back to this idea of 1/3, we need to divide this by 3. When we divide by 3, the pi just hangs out. All we really need is 81 divided by 3. And what do we get?
27 pi.
27 pi. In general, the end of this test is not looking terrible. Watch me jinx it. Oh, whoops, I went too far. All right, let's finish this off. And then my brain will start working again. Go ahead and go for 4 minutes. ones, 58 is F, 59 A, and 60 is G. So, of these, 58 I think you know, but might not recognize the format. 59, a lot of you have not learned yet. And 60, I think is doable if you don't get intimidated by the word problem. So, do you understand what's going on in 58? What makes two lines perpendicular to each other?
They're opposites.
They're opposites. They are both opposites in the sense of the flip of the fraction, and they are opposites in the sense of sign. And so, easiest one to deal with is probably 1/2. If I take 1 divided by 1/2, I get back to 2. And so, that is what's going on with that 1 over the slope of 2. And then the negative is what creates the negative sign, and they have to be both opposite each other and the opposite sign of each other. And so they're called negative reciprocals is the math term for it. They have to be both the opposite sign and the flip of the fraction. So negative means opposite in math, not always just negative is the result. And then reciprocal is the flip of the fraction. On number 59, how many of you have seen these before? They're called matrices, and they're a way of organizing information. You, as math students, they tend to be very small. The entire appeal to them is with very large number sets, and so in the real world, they will be done in like 5 by 5, 100 by 100, very large sets of numbers. But also in the real world, they will be handled by calculators. And so what you do as a math student is learn the rules behind them using small, manageable pieces. In the real world, they get to be much larger. But determinant of the matrix, just for your information, if it comes up again, we have 5, 3, -4, and -6. This would be referred to as A, B, C, D. And the formula for it says we take A times D and we subtract B times C. We are multiplying this thing. 5 times -6 is going to be -30. And we're subtracting this one. 4 times 3, or sorry, -4 times 3 is going to be -12. If we say minus negative, it turns into plus. -30 plus 12 is -18. So that's what's going on with that one. Again, you might not have seen that before. Did I mess up?
No.
It's not that problem?
On the calculator, I don't really know what this is, but on the calculator, if you like edit the matrix, and then if you do math 1.
Oh, so your graphing calculator can do matrices for you?
Yeah.
Hey, more power to you. Get the answer any way you can. There is no prizes for doing it the slow way. If you do SAT, they're a bit more picky about the reasoning behind it. ACT, it's get the answer. If you know how to use the calculator, that's good. I have never been assigned to teach the calculator lessons. Does Manoj teach you? There should be a graphing calculator lesson. That would be a good lesson. We'll add that to the list. It's been a while since I could probably let you guys teach it, but all right, then 60. I actually really like 60. 60 has this element of being completely doable, but at the same time, it's the end, you're running out of time, your brain is jelly at this point, and so getting through it, it's not terrible, we just have to break it down. So a total of F men went on a fishing trip. So F is the total. And we know that each of the R boats that were used to carry the fishermen could accommodate a maximum number of M passengers. So R equals boats. Who knows? Why didn't they use B? But M is the max capacity. Which means how many people they could fit in the boats. And then they said one boat had 5 open spots, and the remaining boats were filled to capacity. I don't know why they would distribute it like that. I would think they'd space it out more, but apparently everybody was very popular. So the question is, which of the following expresses the relationship among F, R, and M? So, first of all, R and M. How are we going to connect those two? Multiply, because there are boats and M is the max capacity. And so every one of those boats can have M people. And so we take R times M. So that's how many people we could fit if all of the boats were full. Now we're told that all of the boats are full except there were 5 open spaces. How do we relate to those 5 open spaces? Subtract 5. We take away that there were 5 people that weren't there, 5 seats that were open. And that will equal how many people went fishing. And that's it. All right, we don't have a whole lot of time left. Of the ones that we went through, is there anything that you would like to have a second crack at, or more practice with, or more explanation with, or should I pick something at random? All right, go for the random. So in my collection of problems, this is literally called Random Interesting. These are ones that I haven't had a particular category to teach you, but it's things that I want to talk about. So, how many of you have done vectors before? Okay, we're doing good. So we have the vector AI plus 3j is added to the vector. We should probably put the vector symbols around it, but is added to the vector of negative 2i plus bj, and it's the sum is 6i minus 6j. What are the values of A and B? So for those of you who don't know, vectors are just a way of breaking down how far horizontally and how far vertically. The I component is the horizontal, and the J component is the vertical. And these exist anywhere in space. It's not tied to a particular position, but you can always go back to the idea of 0, 0. And so it's saying if we end up with this amount, we are going over 6 and down 6. Now originally, this 6, I'm going to switch colors. This 6 is coming from the AI and negative 2i. So in other words, A minus 2 equals 6. And when I put it like that, suddenly it gets very easy. What's A? 8. same way, 3j and bj make negative 6j. 3j plus, I should just do 3 plus b equals negative 6. What's b going to be? Negative 9. And so this is, again, that idea of zone of proximal development. This is not a hard problem. But if you've never seen it before, it can be really intimidating. And so all you need to know is that these I parts make the new I part, the j parts make the new j part, and they're completely independent of each other. And so you can find out, okay, what do I need in order to make 6? What do I need in order to make negative 6? And with that, we will take a break.